students, hope you are doing well. So in this video lecture series, we are discussing about the previous year questions of 2025 examination. Earlier, what we used to say that they were only asking who has coined this term, who has inaugurated the second wave feminism. But now what they are asking is that they are going one step further and they are asking something a bit more in detail. For instance, earlier they used to ask who inaugurated the second wave feminism. We know that the answer is Simon de Beauvoir. Simon de Beauvoir came up with the concept of othering. So, othering is a concept that is, you can say, intellectual concept laid by Simon de Beauvoir in the work The Second Sex. This work was published around 1940s. The Second Sex is a work which talks about the intellectual movement. Okay, but then we have Betty Friedan. Betty Friedan was an author who would move towards the mass audience. Okay, so she is someone who brought the intellectual movement in feminism, but Betty Friedan is someone who popularized the feminist movement to the mass audience with the work The Feminine Mystique, and it was sold over 1 million copies as soon as it was published in 1963. So you have to remember all these years also, as they are asking the years from literary theory, and we are figuring out like there are 4 to 5 questions that every times come in the work of feminism. Okay, so remember all these things. So here we have this particular work, which is a revolutionary feminist text published in 1963. It is about the false belief system created about women in America after the World War II. So there is a false belief system which was created by the American culture after the post-war, you can say after the Second World War. So there's the concept that Betty Friedan came up with. The concept is the problem that has no name. Actually, before post-war, women used to work independently. In the 1930s, you can see that in the 1930s, women started working, whereas the man started going into the war. This is the first time in the 1930s, you can say 1935, 1936, 1937, that women started working in the factories. Okay, so they started working in the factory. Women started feeling confident. They started wearing new clothes according to the culture. They can spend the money they want because they have the money now. But now what happened is that in the 1940s the world war over, but in the 1950s when men returned to their America, to their country, what they found is that women are working and no one is there to manage the household, to manage the domestic household duties. So now the culture of America started promoting the concept of housewives in advertisements, in magazines, everywhere. The narrative was spread that women should become good mothers. They started getting compared with the Russian women, that Russian women are that sort of woman, but you are like the mother. You have the best husband, you have the best children, you have everything in the life. So women started getting back to the domestic life. But now woman got everything. So this is the problem that has no name. Woman got every single thing as housewife. They got the comfortable homes after becoming housewives. They got the loving husbands. They got the healthy childrens. Okay. The emotional impact was housewives, even though they have every single thing, they were depressed. Yes, women have every single thing, but they are depressed. Why they are depressed? What's the problem? The problem, it has no name. The problem The problem has no name. So that is the concept given by Betty Friedan. The problem has no name. Don't know why women are depressed, referring to the emptiness. Even though women have every single thing, but they are empty from inside because they lack the same work life. They used to go into the factories, they used to go into the companies, they used to work, they used to spend the money they want to spend. Now here, 1950s, happy housewife image was created in America. All right, the sex directed education to make better wives. scientific justification. We know that Sigmund Freud never considered Sigmund Freud never considered woman as superior. He never figured it out how female sexuality works. He created a lot of good works in 1890s. In 1899, he came up with a lot of works. So these works became scientific justification that women are inferior and they suited for the domestic roles, for the housewife roles. So 1930s they were independent, but then after 1930s they all became the housewives, the good loving wives, the good loving mothers. But then again at the same time they felt unfulfilled from inside. Now here we have Freudian, Betty Friedan we are talking about. This work talks that millions of American women were buried alive. So here we have the limited roles and everything was psychologically harming the woman. Their potential was wasted. Now here we have Betty Friedan's solution. She says that women are here. They are under the water. So we have to bridge. We have to put a bridge so that women can start working together in their life and they can reach in some destination where they can feel happy about themselves. Empowering women through education. So we should be empowering women through education. Reform education, ensure workplace equality, reject limiting stereotypes. Women lack access to the quality education. But then when you give her all these things, women will finally achieve the intellectual and personal growth. Now, here we have the legacy, the feminine mystique, published in 1963. You see here, 1963, the work was published, and in 1966, there was an organization was formed known as Now. So they can ask you the question in the examination: which organization was formed after the publication of work Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique? Okay, so National Organization for Women was formed, which started working on legal reforms addressing sex discrimination. And B.T. Friedan became the first president of Now. Now, you see what happens here is that Simon de Beauvoir's The Second Sex is a work which was published in 1949, laid the intellectual foundation for the second wave feminism. Then the right answer is Simon de Beauvoir. But then, when if someone asks you which of the works led to the vast movements in the second wave feminism, that this particular movement, Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystics, 1963, sparked the mass movement in America. But then this work was criticized by Bell Hooks. Yes, Bell Hooks wrote a work, Feminist Theory from Margin to Center, 1984. This is a work written by Bell Hooks. She was African American writer, and she says that this particular work by Betty Friedan is only talking about the white females. It is not talking about the black woman. So it is talking about the privileged white woman. It's not about the black woman. Okay, working class women who are still working in the offices, in the companies. This particular work also does not talk about it. So that is what Bell Hook, why she criticized this particular work. 1949, Simon de Beauvoir's Second Sex. 1963, or we have Betty Friedan's work. You can see here the feminine mystique, and now here 1984 another work came. So you have to remember the date of years. Now, here is a key takeaway. So, feminine mystique, we have already discussed, it's a false narrative that is created by the American society, and the concept is given by the problem that has no name. The name of the problem is that problem that has no name. Okay, and it launched the second wave feminism to the mass. It sparked the mass movement towards the feminism, and then it led to the Now National Organization of Women, which talk about the sex discrimination things, which like you can say promoted the ideas of educational equality, workplace equality among the mass media. And in the next video we will discuss about one of the important works, that is female unique. Okay, that is also again in the question paper in the match of the following. What they're asking is that they gave the four options, they gave the four works to match it with the writers that is living towards or during the second wave feminism. And of course, if you are finding these videos helpful, we are creating such lectures in our UGC Net English Literature course. Please do not forget to subscribe the Limitless Literature channel. And of course, you can meet me over there in the course that we are providing one-to-one guidance to every student to qualify the December 2025 examination in English Literature. I hope you found the video helpful. Do let me know your views in the comment section below. I will see you soon in the next video. That's it for this. Thank you.